tēnā koutou, ko tūhoi tōku iwi, ko hānua tōku hapū, ko waikirikiri tōku marae, ko tima tōku ingoa. I just want to take this moment to welcome everyone here to where are you really from, and to acknowledge the mana and the rangatiratanga of the tangata whenua here at Tāmaki Makaurau. We stand, or sit I guess, and live on stolen land and speak against the forces of colonization that has and continues to dislocate, disconnect and destroy the lives of Māori. He aha te mea nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. What is the most important thing in the world? The people, the people, the people. Engari, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
It's Friday night. You're feeling all TGIF. You've consumed the majority of a cask of wine. Not too much, but just enough to drown out the white noise that's been clouding your fucking head all day. And that's when you hear it. Crystal clear like my fucking morning alarm. Is this cultural appropriation? Your mind thinks of 1,000 BuzzFeed articles with cute Rihanna gifs that will explain it so much cuter, but instead you just pause and let them keep talking. When I was lying down in your dingy excuse for a room, in that dingy excuse for an art gallery, on your dingy excuse for a trendy pallet bed you made yourself, wondering why I paid $10 to hear white men scream into microphones, your tribal tattoos were blinding me so hard that I repressed you getting off from making slave jokes as king play. But then again, you just wanted to make pretty art and not believe in feminism, and I was always conditioned to accommodate. When I was lying down in your dingy excuse for a room, in that dingy excuse for an indie flat, on your dingy excuse for a trendy pallet bed you made yourself, the smell of VBs and Port Royals was blinding me so hard that I repressed you telling me longingly that you'd never tasted an Indian before. But then again, you thought Gauguin was revolutionary and your paintings were shit. I love telling white people where I'm from sometimes, because I feel like I can see their faces compartmentalize me into a country that they know nothing about, but will probably go there more than I can in my lifetime, just so they can get that spiritual lesson and perspective and brand the fuck out of the quirky streets, the quirky locals, and their fresh summer tans, and have bright dreams of the gold Indian jewelry brand they're going to start when they get home, and sip their Hallertau No. 2s at the back of Golden Dawn with such pure innocence as they tell me, it was cute, but it's just not my kind of place. And I think of entitlement disguised as narcissism disguised as tweet Instagram fame. Cute white girls in pastel colours doesn't mean you're fucking intersectional. Your skin will always get more likes than mine. I once tried to make art about how displaced I feel inside white walls, and my tutors wanted me to be more articulate than angry. I once tried to make art about where I was really from, and my white tutors told me to make documentaries about the lack of our representation in institutions, and the way that word rolled off their tongues made me feel like they just wanted to feel really sorry for me and talk about it on BFM later or something. It's not enough that you read the Communist Manifesto that one time and now you're magically cured. It's not enough that you shared that edgy article on white privilege and now you're an ally. It's not enough that you can convince yourself that you've compensated for our histories by being #Marxist. It's not enough that you can hear me speak and not speak, and scream and not scream, and still you never listen.
I had pulled out of this talk until 10 minutes ago, so bear with me. I decided to speak again because I realized that I pulled out because of an interaction I had with a white person earlier. And so I'm not going to let that stop me from speaking right now. But if I do need to stop halfway and then all my punchlines are just well, I'm really sorry. And yeah, if you guys want to make noise while I'm talking, I don't mind because I'm really nervous right now that I can't even open my mouth. But where are you really from? I feel like every time I get asked that by an Uber driver, I should get a voucher code so that my ride is free. And I feel like every time I should be exempt from giving to charity every time a street frontal raiser asks me that. And it's just I'm going to, the mic is broken. I'm going to the mic is broken. I'm going to the McDonald's on Great North Road, and I already give to 3 charities, That's all you need to know about me, so like stop staring at the color of my skin. Anyway, so I'm not a writer at all, yet I'm at this reading, but I didn't want that to stop me from speaking about race because I have a fuckload to say all the time, so I made a series of lists. But I think it is important to remember that I am a light-skinned Asian person, and that's what you call a model minority. Like, I'm not the one whose life is in danger. And I guess we're speaking, I'd be speaking to an echo chamber. Yeah, so we all know like the important race things, but I just wanted to speak on the everyday experiences I get, because I guess like when you feel othered, it's not just like an intellectual conversation you're having every now and then. It's like, I feel othered when I look in the mirror, I feel othered when I walk down the street, I feel othered when I like stare at my food in the microwave. There's no off switch. So I made a series of lists. First list, concepts that I'm afraid of as a person of color, 101. Time machines, I guess that's a straightforward one because of slavery and like intensely patriarchal structures or whatever, but since I'm a Generation Y me brat, I guess I wanted to talk about the everyday and like time machine to when I was in primary school and was made to eat like crackers and ham sandwiches to fit in, and like time machine to this morning, really. Okay, what else is on this list? Am I doing okay? I don't know. Wow, okay. What else is on my list? Guitar solos. When I hear them, I feel like my ears are being oppressed. But like my favorite genre is like dubstep remixes of Lana Del Rey, so I get that I'm not the right demographic for overindulgent guitar solos. What else is on this list? Photo booth on new Macs. They're like too high def, and like they portray my skin color too accurately, and like I'm still in denial of my internalized racism. And just like any selfie medium in general, like cameras, photo booths, phones, laptops, mirrors. The explore page on Instagram. Like, there's so many hot white people out there. Like, hot privilege, like white privilege, duh. Hot privilege, also a real thing. And like, I wish I could filter my explore page so that it was just like meme accounts and those accounts that just post zoomed in photos of like garden gnomes and stuff. What's another one? Things I'm afraid of. Doppelgangers. Guess why? Because it's so racist, like so racist every time. Like, is it offensive to say that of course it's racist because it's German? I don't know. Menus without pictures, and in brackets I have Ponsonby because I don't know what half the food is. Like, there'll be one word, but then it'll be joined to another word that just throws me completely off. Like, I had to like do research into this. Like, what is a Kalamata olive? What is a onion confit? Confit? Is it just like an olive and an onion? Why don't you just say olive and onion? Like, what is a lamb cigar? Is it a lamb or cigar? And if it's a cigar, why is it in my salad? Like, it's... Beverly, my playmate, everyone. Like, it's different now, but when I was a kid, like, I guess my family was on a budget, so we grew up on what was ever on sale at Pack and Save, and chicken nuggets. And now that my parents are more financially stable, they eat smoothies for dinner and wear Fitbits. So like, I'll give my mom advice on how to make a bangin' bougie salad, but I'll feel guilty about it the whole time because I feel like I'm losing my culture, but then my culture is like fried rice and corned beef from a can. So, yeah. First gen New Zealand people, right? Am I right? Hey. Okay, what else am I afraid of? Using a knife and a fork. I did not know this was a thing until I went to school camp when I was 11 or 12. And I still try to avoid it because I do not know how it works. And I always just find myself like with a knife in my mouth. That's not right. And like, I'm not afraid of that happening because it's dangerous. I'm afraid because my white friends are just like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. And it's just like, I don't know how to use chopsticks either because I'm Filipino and we grew up and they were like, my parents would praise me when I'd use my hands and like have my foot propped up on a chair with my legs spread with my back arched because that was etiquette to me because it was like not making a mess even though I was eating with my hands. Okay. What else is on the list? I keep just rambling. It's pretty random. Okay, riot girl music is something I'm also afraid of. It's like if all the white girls who love Frozen grew up and started punk bands. I really should have read this list because the next one is just my ex-boyfriend who ruined my life, in brackets, he was white. They look like aliens, which is cute, but like it kind of explains why I have more maternal instincts to minions, because they're yellow like. When I watched the movie, I was really sad and I cried because they were my babies. But I watch sad alien movies all the time and I enjoy it, and I enjoy their sadness because it's entertaining to me. Okay, next on the list. My own laziness and how much I care about things that don't matter. I think I just invalidated this whole list, but this is in comparison to how hard my parents had it growing up and, you know, how hard they struggled to move to New Zealand and give me a good life. Like, my dad grew up in a slum with one water pump for the whole village, and I remember my favorite story from my dad is that he got into a fist fight with a monkey on a moving motorcycle. Like, when I fight now, I fight on the internet with words and memes. And when I go to the toilet, I flush it like 4 times without thinking twice because I just don't want my flatmates to see the smelly poo that I just did. And like when I get bored on the toilet, I get my flatmate to bring me my iPhone so I can play piano tiles. I'm such a brat, but I'm oppressed at the same time. What else is there? Sexy socks. I feel like I can't wear sexy socks because it's fulfilling like an Asian fetish. And it's just like fishnets, they look really sick. And just like the bows on top of them, I would fuck with that. I don't swear, if I could, but I feel like I'm just giving into the, is white gaze a thing? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. What else is there on my list? My Tumblr archive. Hashtag daisies. Hashtag exorcism of the last painting I've ever made. Hashtag John Waters, what a quirky man. Hashtag body positive feminism, but all white people. Hashtag pink nipples and glitter in your pubes. And then the last thing I had on that list was just art with no comment. Like, I think that's just because creativity and to think freely is often, it's associated with class as well, but it's also a white privilege to be able to do that. Next list, white girls I'm jealous of. Oh boy. White girls who have white skin that make colored tattoos really bright. White girls who don't suffer from any mental illnesses. Like, your life must be so easy, how? White girls who are better than me at messenger basketball. White girls who don't eat McDonald's or hate them all because post-colonial Philippines is a slave to the globalization of Western consumerism / capitalism, and it's not fair that they've managed to escape something they've forced onto someone else. And then white girls who take heaps of body positive selfies because they are confident enough to believe they're beautiful and can stare into the mirror for longer than 5 seconds and don't have to hide their internal racism and self-loathing behind Snapchat filters and have the privilege of accepting their appearance. Whew, okay. And then, thank you Perry for the drink so that I can be speaking like this right now. New list.
I got your back.
My tab, I haven't been keeping track of that tab. New list. White feminists who I wish would sit the fuck down. White feminists who are grammar police and wear tweed aprons and rode horses as children. Wow, that is me coming for someone specific. Definitely not here. White feminists who share feminism 101 licks and catching them with, "Yas, queen." How many times do I have to see this on my feed? White feminists who go on the internet in general, like you think you can trust them with Google, but you can't. They're just on Jezebel and Upworthy, and they're just like, "This is my Bible." It's like, no! I can't. mumbling. Okay. White feminists who don't see the benefits of this list because they're like, hey, we're all on the same team here. What you're saying isn't really going toward freeing my pink nipples. Okay, I've got one last list. It's almost over, oh my goodness. In case you're a racist who can't remember my face, I made a guide. These are all the people I've been mistaken for over the years. No, I don't work at Wine Cellar. No, I didn't live at Yes Collective. No, I wasn't in the band Poor You, Poor Me. No, my name is not Beverly. That's Beverly. No, I'm not that person. She's middle-aged. No, I'm not that person either. That is an elderly lady you are walking up to. I'm the one who ordered the size small pants. What are you doing? I'm over here. And just a side note, please stop telling me I look like a monkey. Unless... Oh, I had a prop comedy here. Unless it's the sticker of Paul Frank DJing on my vape, because I get that that is literally me, but my vape is out of order, so I can't pull that out right now. White people get to be mistaken for celebrities. I don't even get to be human, so that's cool. So I'm not those people. I'm not a monkey. I'm Archie, a DJ vaping cartoon character trapped in the mayosphere. Now who the fuck are you? The end.
Everybody wants to be white, please be with me, which is only a desire to be white inasmuch as whiteness encompasses modes of being which allow desiring subjects access to the bounty, which is to say untrammeled access to the basic necessities of life and then some. Affluent world promulgated as the pinnacle of modern human experience, which is still a white experience. Growing up, I never identified with being Māori because that's not where I had any violence done to me, my ethnic identity. Not personally anyway. The violence done me was centered around my sexual orientation. Naturally, given the choice of closeting down or waging adolescent war as an out-gay teenager, I chose the latter. If it seems counterproductive of me in hindsight, then it's because adult me is withholding privileged information from teenage me. It's only now I understand that I've closeted my identity as a Māori person because Māori signified a droll and impoverished working class existence that I have no interest in engaging with. I could see a world of shiny, monied surfaces and relative ease, minus the socioeconomic suffering that was plainly visible in the impoverished Māori suburb just one over from the one I grew up in. And I knew that Māori had a contrary vibration, and that if I wanted to attract the ease and life supports of most of my white school peers, then I had to divorce myself from being Māori and swim towards an opposite bay. Gay was the vehicle for that, tentatively placing itself in the margins of consumer culture since the 80s, thanks Calvin Klein, until present-day visibility and participation, which stands gay men as an affluent consumer market, a coveted one because gay men experience all the perks of patriarchal gender bias without the pesky costs of running a family, allegedly. Obviously, my agenda as a teenager wasn't as specific as hitching myself to a privileged culture, or at least I wasn't aware of it in these terms. All I felt was a desire to be open in my life, to have options, to have fidelity to my own desire as a homosexual man. And at the time, a Māori identity felt incompatible with my desire, which is fucked because it means desire as an effectual maneuver can be coded with gestures of violence without you even being aware of it, which is what happened to me when I unwittingly pitched myself as gay at the cost of denying ancestry to Reo, even my extended family, because they embodied the Māori disadvantage that I was so desperate to avoid. I didn't know that I was using gayness to mask my aspirations to whiteness, and I can't be judged because who doesn't want to have options, money, and recognition? It's only now I understand that in my small town, working class masculinities reject homosexuality because of its categorical whiteness. Consumer proficient gayness is an inadvertent signifier of the oppressor, and for the Māori in my small town, of the colonizer. For me, it all comes down to the increasing precariousness of the working class, and I know I'm not telling anyone anything that they don't already know, but I'm just laying this out for myself. So you have the assumption of heavily raced blue-collar tiers at the very bottom of a working class hierarchy, then a fairly mixed lower middle to middle, and for all intents and purposes, a whiteout, all the way to the top. Obviously there's exceptions. And a system of late capital in which the legacy of monopolised agriculture and industrial output has all but realised its vision of rule attached to resources. No one is perfectly self-sufficient, and everyone depends on stockpile goods, of which those atop the ladder enjoy exclusive rights. Today, subs stockpile goods for rights of production. Here we don't have a democracy but an oligarchy, a series of monopolies on goods with a select few dictating where and when. Democracy was an afterthought to keep workers happy and facilitate the flow of capital, and subsequently labour, across seas and borders. The veneer of democracy gives closed socioeconomic statuses, that's us, the illusion of openness, only so the labour we provide for the oligarchic high-rises is at an optimum, when mistakenly think we own our lives. Basically, anyone existing outside the rights of production is fucked, and the closer you are to those rights by degree, the better. And this being a colonial imperial structure, the wider you are, the better. Which is when my teenage desire played its tricks again. I remember thinking and feeling as a teen that the world must be getting better, moving away from restrictive Fordist and post-Fordist gender and working norms, becoming increasingly more permissive and therefore tolerant. I could be an out gay man and have a successful life. I could walk down the street without fear of persecution. I mean, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy was a real popular show. My best friend was the Grace to my will, and there were even some Lizzies living next door that Mum was totes sweet with. But I never stopped to question why an earnest, media-driven socialising of queerness superseded local interests, like the increasing number of homeless in our town, or the number of Māori welfare heroes the council generally emitted from tourism brochures. Which is funny, because what tourist doesn't fit a little tragedy porn in their itinerary? Most people will be familiar with this particular strategy of public nullification as paintwashing, a liberal subterfuge whereby political classes make token queer rights gestures like parades, and arguably marriage equality, to smokescreen more insidious and invisible manoeuvres of draconian rule. These manoeuvres are often invisible because they're coded within existing narratives which are taken as cultural givens, like the fact that we're encouraged to take a capitalist system as society's tabula rasa, like people spontaneously organise themselves in this way because it makes the most sense, or the essentialist arrogance of post-fucking colonial. So, since I don't know a word of Te Reo and I haven't touched base with any of my iwi since my last tangi, and even that was mostly for the food, you could say I'm one pink-washed fag. But I don't begrudge the system for that. I made choices to side with modes and cultures that serve my immediate interests, even if those choices entail the specific violence to my tikanga. Also, I don't feel bad because reconnecting with a heritage that predates colonialism is impossible. What we have access to is filtered through contemporary logics, and to reject these outright is tantamount to suicide. What we have then is an option to code switch, to alternate between codes of whiteness and non-whiteness at a rate that supersedes rhythms of capital, because without fully licensing cultural appropriation, which I'm not, the only reason white people do plagiarise is because dissociation from their own localities, or a hypermobility on a global grid of capital, is their culture, and they access non-white cultures as readily as any consumer product. I mean, if your culture is of empiric hegemon, fucking wear it, bro. But what the non-white person brings to a predominantly white system is the perspective of damage, a colonial wound that's been transmitted between generations, the result being a generational pain body that's harder to rid yourself on than the flamiest outbreak of herpes. In my extended family, people have closed themselves off from the world and interbred and gotten themselves stuck in cycles of crime and poverty. These are symptoms of colonial damage. It doesn't just disappear. Pain is its own effective capital and people cling to it for whatever reason. Sometimes I feel personally responsible for my family and that it's down to me to reconcile its sizable pain body. This compulsion to counter all the hurt and disenfranchisement by getting as close to the rights of production as my limited time and means allow. And it's a feeling I've embraced, it's my narrative. So, I want to be a better white person than most white people. I want to be more white than white and know more about capitalist and consumer culture and all its untapped potentialities than most white people do, even though it's totes their culture. So wherever I go and whatever I do, I'll take my whānau with me, my ancestral and personal narratives, because that's the only way to combat colonial erasures, and that's the only way to perform the shadow democracy a very real oligarchy uses as a cloaking mechanism in the hopes that we live our liberal delusions hard enough to enact apocalyptic shifts. I mean, what the fuck else do we have? That's it.
We're the illegal aliens. I'm Sophie, Justine, Alia, and I'm going to be asking these two some questions. And this is a comedy piece, so you're allowed to laugh, but not too hard, because the jokes are kind of anti-Semitic. They're Jews. So they're allowed to laugh a lot.
You can laugh. We'll be watching you though.
But not too much. Okay, so dear Justine, why does the world hate Jews so much?
So I thought a lot about this question. I thought long and hard, and I decided I had to put it down to our hats. Don't know if you've seen them. They're really broad, they're intimidating, they're beautiful. Years of construction, you look at them, and I can see how you could be jealous. It's also the ringlet curls, I think. They're so tight and beautiful and symmetrical. We color block well as well. Have you seen a rabbi? I mean, it's like fashion week. Rabbi Mandy's an icon.
Dear Alia, how's No Dating Whites 2K16 going?
Yeah, it's going good, I think. I've succeeded at not dating whites. All I've had to do was not date anyone, or think about dating anyone, or look at anyone, or talk to anyone, or interact with anyone, and it pretty much came naturally from there. I consider that a success. Let's not ask Justine this one.
Justine, what does schmoffy mean?
That's a long story. So, Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines schmoffy. No, they don't define schmoffy. Schmoffy is a word that it's a uniquely Jewish emotion and feeling. I wouldn't describe it to the goys in the room today because I don't know if you quite get it. But I will say that you guys are all pretty schmoffy tonight. And you'll just have to guess what that means.
Dear Alia, what's up with the beard?
So, when a Jew is mourning, they have to A, not shave for 30 days. And
You should see.
Yeah, so they have to not shave for 30 days, and they have to wear all black. Yeah, so we're doing well. And the only excuses a mourning Jew has for not shaving are if A, someone makes fun of them,
That happened.
or B, it interferes with eating. And I think they came up with that mostly because they wanted to get out of it because A, Jews are fucking ridiculous anyway, and B, all we eat is like slimy fish that gets everywhere. Of course it'll get in our beard, and then we can shave if we want to, I don't know. Either way, I've succeeded thus far, and so has Justine. We don't actually know what we're mourning yet, but that comes later. We'll figure it out.
I feel like people know too much about me.
Justine, your father's name is Basil. Care to comment?
My middle name is Rosemary. We are herbs. Basil Sachs is an enigma. My mom refers to him as an alter kaka.
What's that?
It's a fiddle dick. Okay, we're speaking Yiddish now. My dad's the epitome of the sickly Jewish intellectual, so you imagine that frail, old man who talks about Marx too much? It's my dad. Where am I going here? He's a ridiculous man. He once ate cabbages for a whole month. Just nothing but cabbages. Since then, he's been bloated and really gassy. It's not been fun. Okay. Good introduction to the Saxes. I'm doing them proud.
Alia, your father's name is Doron. Would you care to comment?
I mean, I don't think there's that much to comment on. I don't think you can make fun of him, because he's fully aware that it's a stupid name, and he'll make fun of it with more consistency and enthusiasm than any bully. From the minute we stepped onto the plane onto New Zealand, it's just been 12 years of him introducing himself like, hello, I'm Doron, it's like Doron, it's like moron, but with a D, He's really open about it. And to his credit, when you're a 55-year-old Israeli DJ who runs a pizza shop in West Auckland, your name rhyming with moron is probably the least ridiculous thing about you.
Justine, why are you sick all the time?
Genocide.
Would you care to elaborate?
Genocide. Okay. Alright. So, 5,000 years of people trying to kill you will do one thing. At some point, you kind of run out of people to fuck. It happens. And then your second cousin, Menachem Herschel, starts looking really appealing. You can turn off the lights and pretend you just gotta do it to carry on the lineage. It happened, okay? We're all a little bit inbred and diseased. And I have to say, I blame every one of you tonight.
Alia, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, that's right. Me and Justine are definitely related. We almost definitely came from the same potato farms in Eastern Europe. And I say that mostly because I don't think Eastern Europe is anything but potato farms. Also, note how we kind of look like potatoes. I'm pretty sure when we ran out of Jews to fuck, this is my theory, I don't know if she agrees, but when we ran out of potatoes to fuck, we looked to the potatoes to carry on the lineage.
Potatoes to fuck! Potato people to fuck! Then we were fucking inanimate potatoes. It's a long story.
Justine, why do you kvetch all the time?
Yeah, hold on. Alright, so kvetching is Yiddish for complaining, and it's a central universal tenet of Jewish identity. So you can be a Jew from Iraq, you can be a Jew from New Zealand, there's not that many here, but we all complain, and we complain a lot. There's a story that goes that there was once a Jewish man sitting on a train somewhere in Europe, I'm going to assume, and he was thirsty. So like any Jew, he really loudly complained, kvetched. He said, "I'm so thirsty, oh God, I'm so thirsty." And this went on for an hour and a half. And the other goy passengers were like, "Jesus fucking Christ, give him some water. Someone give him some water." So they did, they gave him some water, and they were like, "Finally I'm gonna shut this loud Jew up." And he drank the water, and they were like, "Okay, cool." And then, not even a second later, "Oh my God, I was so thirsty. I cannot believe how thirsty I was. Oy, I've never been more thirsty in my life." And I think that sums it up. We whine about whining. We suffer to whine, and we won't stop. And I just want to give out a shout to my gran tonight. She's queen of kvetching. Minnie Florence, we love you.
Alia, what about Mizrahi Jews? Do they kvetch?
Yeah, I agree with Justine. Kvetching is pretty much the one true universal of Judaism. You've got your Mizrahi Jews, your Ashkenazi Jews, your Ethiopian Jews, your Orthodox Jews, your unorthodox Jews, all with very different relationships to religion and food and diaspora. But we all fucking kvetch. And I do think that my Mizrahi side really holds their own against the potatoes in Eastern Europe.
We'll see.
For many years I was woken up in the middle of the night repeatedly by my dad just pacing around the kitchen, holding his back, just like, why? And sometimes when my back hurts, that instinct takes over. For context, I don't really know my Hebrew anymore. I don't really know much about the religion anymore. I wasn't raised celebrating any of the holidays, but kvetching is intergenerational. I came out of the womb kvetching. I didn't even cry when I was born. I was just like, "Oi, I'm alive. Oh, I suffer. It's so cold. I'm alive and I'm suffering. It's been 1 second."
So, serious question now, guys.
Topical.
Very topical question, in that recently the British pound fell following the Brexit vote, and I heard that it was the Jews. Please explain.
Fuck. Well, when you disobey the protocols of the Elders of Zion, you'll know about it.
I admit to it. Justine mostly handled the illicit buying of the British pound. But, I did my part. I ate like 10 Christian babies on my way over here. I'm doing my part. She's the elder of Zion. I'm still the baby of Zion, but it's coming. It's coming.
You'll receive some stuff in the mail soon. After this, we're Skyping David Cameron. We're going to teach him parcel tongue. Oh no, sorry, Yiddish. Thanks for listening to us, kvetch.
Thank you.
Eating with the white kids while they smoke and snarl. But not you though. What a fucking progressive cop-out. Equality is an erasure. Please remind me how I exist as a subject of comparison, a scale of ambiguity. Retrain me on my inabilities. Placate me. I tick the box that says other and write African. Liberate my loins. Teach me how to unlearn these primeval urges, to reign in this bestial self. Young thug sucks white cock. Latino papi gets more than he bargained for. Big black dick and interracial gangbang. Let me find this digitalized self, constantly abstracted by the eye. Teach me to love my body in ways that society doesn't know how to. Let me consume my own liquids, food for the earth. Do I only know myself when sedatives are involved? Unpick me like that chia seed between your teeth from that raw bagel. While I paint a story of my motherland, not one where we write on lines or make huts out of mud. Decolonize your mind before trying to decolonize my body. Because we got out, right? She sat me down and questioned my alternative lifestyle. Alternative to what? You? Didn't you pack us up and move us here? Something about a land and milk and honey. Your sacrifices are now my crosses to bear. Let me navigate with your historical weight. Transgress these platforms knowing I got here because you fought for my skin. And how you thought this would all be so different because of time and space and shit like that. So I don't tell you how it picks me apart, because that's not what this place was meant to be, right? A chance for offspring to exist as equals, unbound by a nation of death, placed on an Air New Zealand flight to Auckland. Let me embody your passion, your sadness, your pride. Laugh at my digitalized identity, whilst you reaffirm your position in real life, in real bodies, in real skin. Disidentification. I once shaved almost all my eyebrows off, so desperate to look normal, to scrape back the other. When did these insecurities become a trend? The same thick caterpillar eyebrows that for some have called fierce, others have called terrorist. So please fucking tell me how I'm meant to celebrate this body, this clusterfuck of racial profiling, this distorted celebration reincarnation made possible through the words of white woes and white foes. Let me view things not framed by fear. Your accent stands sharp against these pink ears, and I laugh because it's a clash of culture, of beliefs, of positions. Remind me of where the fuck I'm meant to be in relation to all of this. Swallow my predisposed intuitions. Tease out my hair. Pull this language from me like thorns. Cover me in dirt. Choke me. Tell me why you hate me so I can cover it in PVC. Fool me so I can tweak the imperfections. You call it tainted, I call it performed, informed. I want to feel safe. But first, place me on an enamel plate. Drizzle me in avocado oil. Call it fusion, they love that word. Throw some extra chili flakes on it for that authentic taste. Pull the sinew from between your pearl teeth. Not quite me, not quite you. Liberate my loins.
Kia ora, my name is Poetic and I am going to keep this really short so I don't pass the fuck out. Okay. Blue chores, pink chores, black chores, white chores, the slow genocide, but it's okay because colonisation leads to my white man's nose. Emma, Jack, Carly, Scott, Heather, Colin, Becky, Purify. So that's the shit I put up with at school. I don't want to land out just for you to pronounce my fucking name properly. The camp gay, the butch lesbian, the angry feminist, the uncultured Māori, the white ideal, force-feeding Saupe. But it's okay, because New Zealand isn't racist. Kia ora from Parnell. And to answer the question put forward to us, but where are you really from? Ko Piripi taku ingoa, ko tu irangi te awa, ko mōtio te marae, ko Ngāti Kahungu taku iwi, ko Taketimu te waka. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Well, basically, a lot of these are just really raw notes from just writing and feeling. So instead of editing my words down, I'll just read what my notes are, all raw and unedited. Okay. Where are you really from? Basically means why you are not white. Self-fetishism as a form of supposed self-consciousness and an unhealthy way to claim that and be in control. Like ironic racism / self-comedy perpetuates stereotypes and harmful power dynamics. Exposure to harmful power dynamics between races and porn is another example. Erasure of one's cultural identity as a mere congratulatory acceptance that they made it into the white realm. Internalized racism, a coping mechanism to beat one's culture up to align themselves with whiteness. You just have to remember you are never going to be white and that's fucking okay. The bleeding determinants of marginalization clotting up into an identity waiting to be attacked by hegemonic cultures. Pushing into the corners of oppression while supremacy dances in the middle of the room, adored in our cultures they have no respect for. Yelling at us in the corner that we need to thank them for at least exposing our culture. Fuck being thankful, there's nothing to thank for those that are already so self-congratulatory of their own ignorance. Your white supremacy indoctrinated and fed to me from a young age, reading books and seeing a white narrative in my head. Because that's hard. When you read a book and you're like, oh yeah, like literally go through your head, it's just you see whiteness, unless it's said to you that this person is a person of color. This fucking hegemonic submission into a structure they think just is, but the just is unjust. The just is injustice. The just is white supremacy. The world to the white man is their playground, free to roam and bully those that are in their way of freedom. The advocacy of equity and change disturbs these structures which they are uncomfortable with. Privilege is a hell of a drug. Instead, they strive for the bullshit concept of equality in which nothing changes for them, and they can continue sitting in their ends chairs claiming that their part is done. The narrative is still in their hands. Privilege is a hell of a drug, afforded to the advantage, addictive. It gives them one power they refuse to reflect on and constantly abuse. When questioned, they quickly jumped into victimizing themselves and instantly feel attacked. It's not about them. When people complain about white people, like, don't fucking think about yourself. It's white people. Like, you don't have to congratulate yourself and being like, I'm a white ally, I'm so awesome. It's like, the white ally should just be the default. Everyone should just be a good person to say that, I'm a white ally, like, oh, it's just like, dude, like, everyone should just be a good person. It's not like you need to congratulate yourself all the time. Like, you already have a fucking privilege, right? Okay, I believe in fluidity. What it's like to live when one is so settled. So, having conversations with like white people all the time, and when they have their own concept of the world, and when you decide to rattle them up, you're questioning them, which I think is so important when everything is so fluid and awesome, and you have to constantly be changing your thinking. You can't be just still and thinking that, oh, history is history, and you have to think about whose history are you reading, who is it written by, who are you listening to. The color of the skin, the passport to privilege, birthright, to fuck up the world and tread on the domain that do not belong to them. Alright, what else did I write? People's color of their skin is not a pamphlet of information from my culture. It's fucking Google. Just Google it. It's not hard. And for being a white ally, it's about to fight white supremacy. Like, that's your job. Like, as a person of color, we rise up by ourselves. Like, we need your help, but we don't really need your help. It's this kind of thing. Like, this rhetoric in my head. But like, you can't be you can be an ally, but your help is to deal with your own people. Like, deal with deal with your fucking people. Like, it's not my fucking job. Maybe educate your own people about your own history instead of getting me to explain why racism exists, and then have you shit on me and dismiss my experiences. What else is there? Cool. Accessibility, compassion, empathy. Just because your assimilation, this is for the people of Kainui, just because your assimilation was what you thought was needed to survive, and that's not your fault. It doesn't mean there's a right or wrong, because people survive and cope in different ways. The submission to white supremacy is real, but who the fuck am I then if I reject white ideals? What am I saying? Who am I? What is my culture? Do I suffer from a fetishization of my culture and appropriate certain things to feel like I still belong and I am part of it? Who the fudge am I? So in terms of talking about, but where are you really from? Like, that's something that I question myself all the time. To say, where am I really from? If I say like Epsom, people are like, oh yeah, because you're Chinese, you fucking live in Epsom. Like, nah, like, whatever. But for me, this is something I question myself on a daily basis, because it's like hard, because if I say like I'm a New Zealander, that doesn't satisfy fucking anyone's, because I don't look white, basically. So I'm not, because I'm not white. And saying that I'm Chinese as well satisfy you because you can place me, but it's hard for me because like my experience is completely different to a lot of other people. And yeah, okay, let's see what else I wrote. Like, basically when people ask me like where am I really from, I have this internalized thing where I'm like, fuck, like how far back in my history do you want to go? Because I am a third culture, like double diasporic child, and like basically, where am I writing? Yeah, and like to say that I'm Kiwi Chinese as well feels false, because it feels like I'm one less than the other, and the term itself feels reserved for my relatives and ancestors on my mother's side. But so So I purposely didn't plan to say or write down where I'm really from. So this is going to be a real exciting thing for me to try to explain where I'm really from. So I've got my little sister here. If she's got anything to question and to find us off. Okay, this is real nerve-wracking. So we'll start with my grandparents. So on my dad's side, where he's from, his grandparents are from, our roots are in Fuzhou in China. And on my mother's side, we stem from Guangzhou in China. So the whole fact that I'm double diasporic as well is this thing that I have in my head that because I always say my dad's in Singapore, my mom's from Hong Kong, and those places are places which, like, you know, the British came and hung out there and did their fucking shit, you know, whatever. But in saying that as well, saying that my dad's from Singapore, mom's from Hong Kong, like we speak English at home because that's the language that my dad grew up with, and he speaks Cantonese and Hokkien as well. Mom's side, so my grandparents were from Guangzhou, in which they migrated to Hong Kong? In Hong Kong? Yeah, it was. And then, so they settled there. So Dad and Mum both came to New Zealand to study at university. And they met at a Christian camp. Super cute. So like my sisters, my older sister Kimberly, Bao Hui, and my little sister Bao Xian, or Natalie, or myself, we were all born here. See, this is what happens. This is what happens. There's no way to fucking say this. With that, so my parents, came here to do university, and I've got a real good story about my mom because she actually came here in her last year of high school, and she actually went to fucking Hamilton. And I was like, why the fuck would you come to Hamilton? But I guess, for her, just to come to a different country. And she actually had she was really fucking smart because obviously the school system is a lot, of a higher level there, and she came in and slayed all the white people in fucking science and in maths and all the stuff, but English was still really bad. But at the end of the day, you know what? She didn't even try, and she became the dux of her school. And this one white guy was real jealous because he was, fighting for that. But yeah.
But then he asked her out.
And then he asked her out, apparently, according to them. So within that, so we complete my parents, so we go with our life experience here. So we were born in New Zealand, and oh God, do I have to talk about, shit. See, this is what happens, but okay, just hear me out. Okay, so on my mom's side as well, even though she stems from this root here, we do have a background here in New Zealand as well. So her basically we've got Kiwi Chinese roots from the 1860s, like Casey Lou, on Mount Eden Road, the institution, the gold miners, we're related to them. And Golden Horse and Green Lane, we're related to them. So we've got that weird Kiwi Chinese kind of side as well. But yeah, so in terms of how we grew, my sisters and I grew up, we were born here, moved to Singapore. Then because of my dad's job, we moved to Beijing, went to an international school, and also went to a full immersion Chinese school as well. Then we moved back to Singapore, went to a local school, moved back to Beijing again. So my life was in boxes still. And went to an international school, and I came back here in 2004. So with my experience being who I am, I find myself, I don't know, do you people of color have this thing where you perform whiteness to your realm, and then when you go home your accent just drops a little bit? Be fucking proud of that, because that's awesome, because that's actually who you are, and that's awesome. And does anyone have questions? I think this is a real nice but there we go, asking me where am I really from? I can't answer that because it's so hard. The reason why I speak Cantonese and Mandarin is because I had the privilege to live in these other countries. But if I was, the Kiwi Chinese term, I'd be, speaking probably Cantonese at home and not being able to speak Mandarin. So I guess, the diaspora is real, and even within P.O.Cs, there's a lot of different facets that we need to listen to as well, because when you say, no matter what color what color you are or whatever, there's always a story and narrative that you cannot just assume that, oh yeah, they're Chinese, blah. It's there's so many digging kind of things, and you just got an experience of that, and me rambling as well. So thank you.
大家好，我叫付冠文，我在这出生的，我是中国人， shout to anyone that understood that. White faces, but thanks for coming. I'll start off. I've got 2 poems, by the way, so maybe save your applause for later. Yeah. My mother tongue has been butchered by the colonizers. Under their control, I became a liar. Anything and everything Chinese I would shun. My Chinese Mandarin I would mute. Since kindergarten, I would gossip the barber to lower himself so I could whisper in his ear because I was worried everyone else would hear I was not white. I was not a New Zealander, I was a 4-year-old Chinese girl. And one day, as a little kid walking to St. Helens Beach, a car of parking hut teens shouted at me, "Go back to your own fucking country." By 6, I understood how much better the lives were of the white. I cried on my mom's lap and asked her, "Why can't we be white?" It became a mission to hide my heritage. Imagining paying a doctor to slice my monolids, open my arm and eyes just a little bit. I would straighten my hair to be like the white kids. I would love it when my white friends would say, "I don't even see you as Asian. You're like a cool Asian." Because coolness is whiteness. The whiter you are, the more accepted you are. By the way, what kind of Asian are you? Do you speak Asian? No, I can't speak Asian. And I can barely communicate with my Chinese parents now. Second poem. This is inspired by a true story. My sibling was there. Mingzu, right there. I'll start off with one time at New Flavour. Dining with my parents who came from northern China, my mum prides herself on her dumplings, always saying, "Be white and like the hot." My dad had a bite of his dumpling, looked at the waiter and said, "这个是什么?" 这个太甜，这个不是中餐. Which means, what is this? This is too sweet, this isn't Chinese food. The waiter said, "Yes, that's true. We cater to the palate of the Westerners, the white people, helping them feel cultured even if it is artificial, like the MSG sprinkled all over the dishes on the table. They don't know what's good. They dip their dumplings into soy sauce, or sometimes sweet chili sauce if they could." Tom and Byron, they dine like individualists with their own plates of pork and chive dumplings, not willing to share. They don't care about proper Chinese dining etiquette, and don't you dare use your own chopstick to pick for the communal dish. You wouldn't do that at SPQR. Where big round tables don't even exist. Chinese cuisine is more than cheap eats. To me, it is a way I can feel connected to my culture, my roots. The connection that was lost and damaged.
When I was a child, my mother would get dirty looks when she would take me to the supermarket. The looks were almost asking, did she steal that child? Or is she just a babysitter? What's the deal here? What's that little critter doing sitting in the shopping cart? Surely his parents don't trust her to use their cash flow card. My mum was quite a bit darker than me, and it was strange for a lot of people to see a little white baby being carried around by a brown lady. But it didn't end there. There were far more incidents of which I'm sure I wasn't aware, because I was only 6 when this happened, and not all that perceptive. What I did know is that there was a strong feeling that I should have been stopped by some form of contraceptive, a mongrel, out of place, unwanted, like a pimple on the face of any group I haunted. And all the kids would say, wait, you mean you're Māori, but you're white as fuck? You mean like 1/32nd Māori, like the rest of us? Nah, that's not the fucking point. And why shouldn't I get annoyed when the teachers would raise their voice when they learned my middle name sounded even more ethnic than my last? Oh, you're actually Māori? That would announce to the entire class. Well, yeah, I am, and despite my social caste and the fact that I went to private school, I'm not the exception that proves the rule. I tried to join the Kamahaki group, and I got laughed out. I tried to join the island choir too, but the teacher doubted my ethnicity and told me to come back at Wednesday at 3 for all the regular choir tryouts. And while I'm talking about what happened as a kid, it never really stopped, and it never really did. And people weren't shocked when I could crack the lock they forgot their key to, or how I could be dirt broke and still manage to find food. It was as if these skills were somehow devalued because I fit the stereotype and gave it some more verisimilitude. Of course the Māori guy can pick locks and pockets and find food and break into my house if he really wanted to. Is that a family talent? A rude question crudely posed by the dude I just saved $175 on a locksmith for. Just because I know how to do some things that may not necessarily be looked on kindly by the masses doesn't mean that I'm your classic Māori. I work for a living, and on payday I don't go to the pokies or the TAB, and I didn't abuse my missus despite what your homegirl's hissing in your ear. I bet that's far more surprising than the fact that I'm interested in skullduggery as well as poetry. But I'm not a poet, I'm Bart Brown, so that makes me a rapper in comparison. Lends a certain credence to the narrative that Māori and Pacific Islanders are full of talent. Singers, dancers, instrumentalists, and rappers. Just like how all Asians are good at maths. My namesake, Tunui, refers to gods in the shape of comets crashing to the earth. Maybe that explains why I felt so alien since my birth. Cursed, a fucking half-caste, a pariah wearing a face mask, covering up the darkness of skin with a pale face and an amiable grin. I'm sick of the argument that I don't understand what it's like because I'm white. The implication that I should feel contrite for taking advantage of grants as if my skin nullifies my birthright. The belief that anyone who claims it should be judged harsher lest they turn out to be some kind of parasite, an egg laid in the wrong nest. I'm done with people being upset about me checking the box next to NZ Māori on surveys and tests. And if you ever call me white boy, don't be surprised to find my fist in your chest. Because frankly, this quest for equality seems like more of a jest. It's a farce because I still feel a little oppressed. But not by the usual suspects. By this audience, no less. How many of you can attest to having heard slight murmurs of, ooh, what the fuck? I thought this was P.O.C's only. Until I started speaking and you learned I was Māori.
Where are you really from is quite a strange question for me as well. As Beverly was saying, it is for all people of colour. I'm Australian. Sorry. My mum is Samoan Chinese and my father is Pākehā Māori. But that's as far as I know where things go because there's a long history of racism in my family. So my great-grandfather, who's Chinese on my mother's side, got deported from Samoa because he's Chinese. And his last name had been changed by the Germans to anglicize them, so we can't trace that line of my history at all. There was history in my dad's side between the Māori iwis, and there was a conflict, and they've both been cut off, so I don't actually know my iwi. But I know that I'm Māori, and I know that I'm white, and I know that I'm Samoan, and I know that I'm Chinese. That's it. I'm Australian though, that's where I'm really from. Okay, sorry. So this first piece that I wrote is not a song yet, but it will be soon. It's called King. Oh, I need to calm down. They say I can't be king as though it's something that I need. I don't need power over you because I have power over me. Are you surprised by the span of my wings? Or am I more foreign in the way that I lift my chin? Or am I more alien for the color of my skin? Don't worry about it, baby. You're exotic. It's in. My tongue is not my mother's tongue, for my whitening started very young. I don't even know where I'm really from. A big white border has been hung. That border bent and broke the line. My ancestors now I cannot find. My racial ambiguity plagues my mind. But don't worry about it, baby. You're exotic. It's fine. So I walk around with a staunch, structured stride. You must wonder how I can manage so much pride. Well, it doesn't matter where I'm from. I'm all I need to be. I'm big and brown and beautiful. I'm 100% me. So go ahead and say I can't be king as though it's something that I need. I don't need power over you because I have power over me. This second one is a rap that I perform. I just wanted to say I'm Polynesian and Asian, so I get to be good at singing and maths apparently. But yeah, this is called History. I wrote it as an exercise in rhythm for my recital at university where I studied jazz performance, which is very problematic, studying a fundamentally black music in a white institution. So this I wrote as a big fuck you to my very white panel that I had mocking me. It went okay. Okay, here we go. I'm used to rapping this, not reading it, so the rhyme scheme's gonna be real fucked. But whatever.
Rap it.
No. Haha. I have all the power because I'm at the microphone. Okay. Marginalized, fetishized, criticized for the sweet curve of my thighs, or the shape of my unforgiving eyes, or the color of my skin. Can't speak for my whole kin, but fuck is it annoying when the only questions that you have refer to my origins. Because looking back at my history, all that I can see is diligence, intelligence, and hardworking men and women. My mother would have told me to never ever give in or give up. So I won't hold back. I'm picking up the slack, won't take your crap. Yeah, why are you so surprised by my IQ? Brown boob beating you? Yes, I'm first in line. And I want to apologize for taking up the space and time that I'm entitled to just as much as you. Yeah, let me give you a clue. It might seem a little extreme, but there's worse on your TV screen. For instance, working every day in this white world, whitewashed brown girl, but it's alright, because I'm not brown, right? Wrong. Blue-collar jobs just trying to achieve. Maybe I'll become a beauty queen, because I ain't never seen a Polynesian lawyer make it big on the big screen, and that's fucked. I can't see the sky, because I'm trapped by this glass ceiling. I'm always reaching, ever reaching, but never breaching. No, never breaching. This self-fulfilling prophecy of being property. These thoughts are just my own, or my only ones. Can't settle this with bombs or guns. We need a conversation, an open dialogue, a situation where the voices of the people who need help can be heard by those in power. And yes, that's you, upper middle class white dudes. Where are they? Shut your privileged mouths for a minute and listen.
Hey, I'm Rachel. So those of you who are friends with me either on Facebook or on in real life probably know that I talk a lot of shit about white people a lot already, but today I'm going to read an open letter addressed to my fellow people of colour, and so we can start thinking about some of the hierarchies that we maintain even within our own communities. So I'm going to start reading now. Dear people of colour, here are some of the things I've been thinking about regarding us. With a crooked grimace, I will probably have told you at some point about the relationship I had with a white man 12 years my senior when I was 18. Such disclosure of an experience serving to exemplify much of what's wrong with white supremacist patriarchy. But I usually leave out the part about how Koreans responded to this, particularly Korean men, who with scathing eyes and tongues had a tendency to construe my involvement with white men as the unequivocal proof of my apparent self-loathing, while they endow my brother with words of praise for his popularity with white women who sit at the top of the sexual hierarchy. It's laughable to see that men of colour actually have the gall to engage in the hilariously ignorant presupposition of their own exemption from perpetuating misogyny. Men of colour who, under the guise of attacking white supremacy, shame and vilify women of colour who don't appease their pathetic male entitlement. Trauma for me has come from men of colour too, so the perpetual doubt with which I look on at men is not limited to the white ones. In the struggle against oppression, men of colour do need to be reminded that they are indeed still men. I'm also disheartened by the Korean immigrant families who eagerly approach my North Shore property-owning parents, who to the newly migrated signify a repository of immigrant tips and pointers with which they hope to find out which schools and neighbourhoods are the good schools and neighbourhoods, which we all know is thinly veiled language for less brown. They eagerly seek these answers, asking my parents all of this over the dinner we eat on stolen land, a reminder that white supremacy does not need solely white bodies to continue to rear its ugly head. Here's another thing, a dynamic palpable in the realities of social justice today which cannot go unremarked is the blurred and messy relationship between social justice and the performance of cool. Cherry-picking the right buzzwords and becoming speaking beings in the symbolic universal social justice issues becomes directed towards the collection of radical points whereby the acquisition of social and cultural capital in white space surpasses any real effort to build solidarity and dismantle the power structures we purport to oppose in our rallying cries that take form of a tweet or a Facebook status. Online activism is not what I'm negating here, but I do deliberately bring social media to our attention in order to point to the fact that let's be honest with ourselves here, that the legitimacy of your politics to some extent relies on your performance of cool and how well you do it. And the people who do it well, the people of colour who do it well, are attributed the credit and the benefit of the doubt.
which might not be entirely problematic in and of itself, but it is when this is at the expense of the silenced P.O.C. relegated to the sidelines of uncool, because under white supremacy, there is never enough space for all of our voices, is there? The way in which the performance of cool insidiously overlaps with the performance of whiteness is something to interrogate, and I fear that the angry P.O.C. friends of white people is yet another shifted, twisted trope of our ongoing assimilation. Even as I speak here to you now, I wonder about who has been given the platform to speak tonight, and what the comfortable presence of a white voyeuristic gaze in such a space could possibly mean. In short, I have described the tensions and dynamics of being a person of color with the rest of you, and hope I fleshed out the complexity of the things I'm trying to negotiate within my fight with white supremacy, and how much it is fucking with my head. I am aware that whites are listening to this right now, and if you're thinking about how inundated with problems our communities are, then you have missed the point, and maybe it's not your point to get. The fragmentation of our communities and the challenging fight to work for our own safe spaces points to how much white supremacy fucks us up and wants to keep us that way. But today, I'm not speaking to you, and instead I remind my friends of colour that we have a lot to address ourselves if we really want to mobilise in our common goal of abolishing white supremacy, when all we have in common is not being white, a commonality situated in a negative space in relation to what we are not. That is fragile grounds for a coherent mode of collectivity. Amidst the array of colours that we are, there is great multiplicity of conditions and being, which must be respected, which we are not doing all the time. So I hope you can see that the solidarity of the marginalised is still of paramount importance to me, but I implore you all to engage in constant self-reflection, as will I, as we work to build inclusive, collective solidarity that will fly in the face of white supremacist bullshit. Love, Rachel.
What I hear when you say, I don't recognize you. Your voice is other, your face unfamiliar. I will place you on my bookshelf of things I pretend to have read. I'll tell you about yourself despite what you've said. You are a landmark on my big OE. You are the subject of my arts degree. You are an instrument for my aesthetic. You are just your genetic material. You'd be nothing without British imperialism. You don't belong here. I do. My voice has power, my face is known. You don't own yourself. James, you don't know yourself. What you say doesn't matter, because I know you. And the next one is, my name is Tima. Don't call me James, my name is Tima. Despite what it says on letters addressed to the house in which I reside and to the houses prior, despite what it says on my birth certificate, my passport, and my student ID, my name is Tima. My name is my home because the place is lost. My name is familiarity, friendship, family. It's the 4-year-old me painting the letters at kindy so that I might know myself better. T-I-M-A. I don't care what you think I look like. I'm not French or Jewish. Mais parce que ma connaissance de la langue française est meilleure que ta connaissance des indigènes de la Nouvelle-Zélande, then maybe I should give you a break. Or maybe I should talk about the fact that I understand that sentence better than my pepera. Ko tima tōku ingoa, kia whakamapara I tēnei. Don't talk to me about blood and fractions. That's not what you asked. My ethnic identity can't be simplified into percentages or boxes ticked on a census. You stand on the afterbirth and the bones of our tipuna, and you want to talk about blood? My blood is the awa and the moana. My heart is the maunga. You aren't entitled to knowledge. Just because you can't extract the subtext in the questions that you ask doesn't excuse you of your disrespect. If you're curious, then ask, what is your ethnicity? If you think that's too forward, then maybe don't ask. I stand here without a place to stand, and I'll tell you anyway. Ka tangi te titi, ka tangi te kaka, ka tangi hoki a hau, ti hei mauri ora. Tēnā koe. Ko hene mataroa te awa, ko waikare moana te moana. Ko maunga hoha tu te maunga, ko matātua te waka. Ko tūhoi toku iwi, ko hāmua toku hapu, ko waikirikiri toku marae, ko tima toku ingoa. This is where I'm from, and these are the roots of my being. Engari tēnā koe.